On the 5th anniversary of our relationship, I accidentally found a jasmine-style diamond ring in the nightstand drawer. I was overjoyed, thinking it was a surprise proposal ring that Ethan had prepared for me. That night, I waited for him until late, but all I got was news that he was going on a business trip. At the same time, I saw a social media post from his junior classmate, Lily, with a photo tagged "Life," showing a romantic moment. I tapped to open it, and Ethan's familiar voice played through. "Will you marry me?" On Lily's hand was the exact same jasmine-shaped diamond ring I had found. So it turns out I had just imagined things. But it didn't really matter anymore. After all, I was leaving for France in 7 days. When Ethan pushed the door open and came in, I had just clicked send on the email confirming my transfer to the company's Hong Kong branch. On the desk sat some fried chicken and beer. Ethan walked over and handed me a neatly packaged cake. "Emily, look. Didn't you always want to try that Japanese edamame cake?" He had come all the way here himself and tried to stop me. As he leaned in, I caught a scent. Jasmine. My name is Emily Shen. When I was little, my family used to call me by my nickname, Jasmine. So when I found that stunning, jasmine-shaped diamond ring in the nightstand, the one so beautiful it left me speechless, I truly thought Ethan had prepared it for me as a surprise. I thought it was a proposal ring. After all, we had grown up together as childhood friends. Not long ago, when we visited our parents, he had even smiled and joked to mine that the wedding might be happening soon. On the night of our 5th anniversary, I personally cooked dinner and carefully prepared a delicious, low-fat, low-sodium meal. But by the time the ice cream and whipped cream cake I had made melted into a nauseating mess of creamy soup, all I got from Ethan was a hurried apology. "Sorry, Emily, I forgot to tell you, I'm flying to Japan on a business trip today." He forgot to tell me, but he didn't forget to tell Lily. Later that night, I came across another one of his social media posts, photos of summer fireworks with the caption, "My lover." The live photo showed 2 hands tightly clasped beneath a brilliant display of fireworks at a Japanese festival. Ethan and I had known each other for more than 20 years and had been together for 5. I recognized the scar on his hand immediately. It had been there since he protected me at a competition when we were 17. I tapped on the live photo again. Ethan's voice played, "Will you marry me?" On Lily's soft, pale hand was that same jasmine diamond ring I had found in our drawer. So that was the truth. Lily, Jasmine, I had been foolish. The jasmine scent Ethan carried didn't belong to me. The perfume I usually wore highlighted Jasmine's fresh top notes, but the fragrance on him emphasized Jasmine's sweet and intoxicating base notes. That was Lily's signature perfume. When Ethan got close and saw the fried chicken and beer on the desk, he frowned. "Why are you eating this kind of stuff?" Ethan has a mild heart condition. The doctor said he shouldn't eat foods high in oil or salt, and he must avoid alcohol. For years, I had been watching over him, eating the same healthy food alongside him. Over time, I gave up those things too. Fried chicken and beer had been a trendy combination years ago, but I was only now trying it for the first time, and honestly, it tasted pretty good. I replied casually. Dr. Lee had opened my inbox, and we were waiting for the French branch to respond. The day after our anniversary, I had already submitted my application for a transfer. Now I was just waiting for the process to go through. "I thought only kids like Lily liked this kind of thing," Ethan muttered. I was still waiting for the email, occasionally glancing down at my phone. A colleague messaged me, "Emily, are you really going to France?" I tapped out a reply. "Yeah, going to Paris to negotiate a partnership with LVMH. Don't forget us little people if you hit it big, okay, Miss Shen?" I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. "What are you laughing at?" I looked up and saw Ethan frowning at me. He had been mumbling on, probably still about something related to Lily. I'd heard so much about her lately, I felt numb. "Emily, are you mad at me again?" Ethan didn't look well. I shook my head. He hesitated for a while, seemingly trying to recall something. Then his expression darkened. "Is it because I didn't spend our anniversary with you?" Ethan rubbed his forehead. "I really forgot. The company's at a critical stage. I've been swamped, you know that. That day, I landed in Japan and had to immediately rush out for business meetings." He sighed, clearly frustrated. "You can't keep being so unreasonable. Emily, I've been indulging you for over 20 years. Can't you just understand me this one time? Suddenly, his eyes fell on my computer screen, still aglow. His voice rose sharply. You're messaging the French branch? Didn't we agree you wouldn't take the transfer and stay here? Are you trying to use this as leverage against me again? He scoffed. Come on, Emily Shen, seriously? I closed the laptop calmly. It's just about marketing guidance, I said evenly. Ethan stared at me in silence for a moment, then exhaled. Emily, let me make it up to you tomorrow, okay? What do you want? I remember that brand you like. Lily just released a new collection. That's not my favorite brand, I interrupted. That's Lily's. Ethan froze. He stared at me, stunned. I didn't bother explaining. I picked up my laptop, walked into the bedroom, and locked the door behind me with a soft click. Messages from colleagues kept popping up on my phone. You're really leaving? What about Ethan? I hadn't told anyone about what happened between Ethan and Lily. To all my coworkers, Ethan was still the perfect childhood sweetheart I grew up with on the island. The same Ethan who took me out to sea to watch fireworks on my 17th birthday. When I accidentally fell overboard, he jumped into the deep ocean without hesitation, without even a life vest to save me. I had panicked, struggling wildly in the water. I left a permanent scar on his hand. But he never let go, not even for a second, until we were both pulled back onto the boat. He held me tightly, gasping for breath, his body reacting to the strain of his mild heart condition. Seawater streamed down his face, one drop landing on me like a burning tear. It seared against my cold skin. In a hoarse voice, he kept calling my name. Emily. Emily. Back then, I thought we would love each other forever. That was before the name Lily came between us. It started as a chance encounter with his junior classmate, working part-time as a salesgirl in a mall. They chatted a bit, then reconnected again when both were invited to speak at their alma mater. One thing led to another, and they got closer. Ethan was very open about it. He even invited me to join them for a meal. Maybe I should have known something was off right then. For all these years, Ethan had always been strict about what he ate, lean, bland, and healthy. Yet just because Lily liked it, he chose a Korean barbecue place for the dinner. It was a reunion of their old classmates, full of lively conversations and inside jokes I couldn't follow. The only person who looked at me was Lily, occasionally, cautiously, with a sharp and dismissive gaze. After dinner, Lily laughed and dragged us toward a decorative piano on the first floor of the mall. She begged Ethan to play with her. He couldn't say no, and actually sat down beside her to play Für Elise. The piano was terribly out of tune, but it didn't matter. Ethan had studied piano for over 10 years. His performance still sounded beautiful. But that was the moment I knew something wasn't right between them. I had heard Ethan play Für Elise hundreds of times before. Only this time, when Lily leaned in close, he hit a wrong note, just one. But it like a skipped heartbeat. A close colleague who was always perceptive seemed to catch on. They sent me a cute emoji to lighten the mood. Well, here's to your bright future, Miss Shen. The truth was, I had already received an offer from the French branch before, but every time, Ethan had talked me out of it. He didn't want me to be far from him. His career was rooted in this country. If I went abroad, we'd be in a long-distance relationship. He didn't think it would work. We had a huge argument over it. Your career matters, but mine doesn't? I asked. Ethan had looked at me in silence, his eyes full of delicate light. Emily, I love you. I don't want to be apart from you. After a long pause, he said, Fine, I'll go to Paris with you. In the end, it was me who compromised. I turned down the offer from the French branch. Ethan had held me and said he'd take on more responsibility at home and help care for both our parents, so I could focus more on my career. Emily, you're amazing, he said. You'll shine no matter where you are. My colleagues had felt sorry for me when I declined the offer from France, but none of us expected that the day after our 5th anniversary, the branch office would reach out to me again. This time, the request came directly from LVMH's liaison, asking specifically to work with me. It felt like fate was giving me a second chance, urging me not to let go. Ding! An email came in from the branch office. I opened it. Bienvenue parmi nous. Bienvenue à notre équipe. Welcome to our team. I stared at the few black French words glowing against the silver-white screen and booked a plane ticket. I would leave in 7 days. Destination France. I messaged my coworker back, wishing you a brilliant future. The next morning, I rushed out early to go handle the paperwork at the company. But the moment I opened the door, I saw Ethan sitting in the living room. There were dark circles under his eyes, and the whites were bloodshot. I ignored him and tried to walk past, but he blocked my way. Emily, you knew I went to Japan with Lily, didn't you? I glanced up at him. His posture made it clear he wasn't going to let me go unless I answered. So I nodded. Can we not waste time? I have urgent matters at work. His face darkened further. To be honest, I'd fought with him about Lily before. But every time Ethan would say, she's just a kid. Why are you getting worked up over her? And yes, Lily was only a college sophomore. Maybe she really was just a kid to us. But that's exactly what disgusted me most. She's young. So are you? I thought. Maybe Lily didn't understand what she was doing, but did Ethan not understand either? Did he not realize what all those flirtatious messages meant? Or was he just using her naivety as a shield for his own guilt? I wasn't upset with Lily. I was upset with him. Ethan had no words to answer. He just looked at me with disappointment and weight in his gaze. Emily, you didn't used to be like this. People change, don't they? So do hearts. Eventually, Ethan promised he would never see Lily again, that there would be no more shady behavior. Please believe me, Emily, you've known me for 20 years. Don't you know who I am? Turns out, I didn't know at all. When I first found that jasmine diamond ring, I stared at it for a long time. I thought it was Ethan's way of proving his love. I wrestled with myself, wondering if I should forgive him and finally step into the happiness I dreamed of for so long. But then I saw that ring on Lily's finger. And when I heard Ethan's voice in that live photo, I couldn't stop myself from laughing. I laughed at how I had played the fool, waiting with hope for Ethan to turn around and love me again. It's not what you think, he tried to explain. Yes, I brought Lily to Japan, but that's because she's my junior. Her major happened to align with the business project I was handling. I brought her to learn. Was that wrong? There were tons of people involved in that project. Nothing happened between us. Emily, I didn't tell you because I didn't want to upset you. I was exhausted and didn't want to fight. Can't we stop this already? Ethan looked drained as he stared at me. I just mumbled a vague response, grabbed my bag from the entryway, and headed for the door. But he grabbed my wrist suddenly and raised his voice. Emily, I looked at him, puzzled. What? I told you I have urgent things to do. You were right, okay? Then he hesitated. You're really not mad. In the past, anything related to Lily would send me off. I'd argue, yell, refuse to let it go. But now I was just tired. Too tired to fight. And that, somehow, made him more uneasy. I nodded, pulled my wrist from his grasp, turned around and opened the door without a second of hesitation. Then I walked out. I arrived at the office to hand over my duties and process the paperwork. The day was a blur. I barely had a moment to catch my breath. Just as I finally sat down to take a break, I noticed a food delivery had arrived. It was a cake Ethan had ordered for me. I'd had a sweet tooth since I was a child, and this was from my favorite shop, the Green Tangerine Jasmine Cake. 5 years ago, Ethan had chosen that very place to confess his feelings to me. Before the confession, he'd spent a whole month learning how to make the green tangerine jasmine cake from the shop owner. When he finally brought it out to me, he had said, Emily, I hope there's no bitterness between us, only sweetness. I had laughed and smeared cream on his face. Your sweet talk is so cheesy. Staring at the cake now, I felt myself drifting. How had Ethan and I come to this point, where everything had changed? There was a card on the cake box. Don't be mad, Jasmine. Back then, Ethan often used my childhood nickname, Jasmine, but I remembered clearly, after his last speech at school, he came home completely drunk and collapsed on the sofa. He didn't even open his eyes until I went to help him. When he finally looked at me, his eyes were unusually bright. That night, I smelled a sweet jasmine fragrance on him. He called me Jasmine, the only Jasmine I'll ever have in this life. My ears had gone hot. After all, we'd been childhood friends for more than 20 years, and we'd dated for 5. He rarely said things that corny, but that night, he held me and repeated it over and over, reminiscing, softly telling me how much he loved me. I laughed and shoved him lightly, eventually helping him to bed. I bent down to tuck him in, But then I heard a word that turned my blood ice cold. Lily. I lost my appetite. I fought with Ethan that night, shouting at him until he swore, over and over, that he had said Jasmine, not Lily. That he had slurred because he was drunk. That I was too tense, too sensitive, and blew it out of proportion because I was always on edge about Lily. He swore to the heavens. If I was right and he had lied, he hoped for lightning to strike him dead. It was only after that we barely moved past it. But from then on, I couldn't bear to hear him call me Jasmine again. I casually tossed the cake into the trash. A message popped up from Ethan on WeChat. Emily, stop making a scene. Lily and I aren't what you think. You're letting your jealousy twist everything. I'll come pick you up after work tonight. Let's make up for our anniversary dinner at that restaurant you mentioned. I didn't take his words seriously. And it turned out, I was right not to. I stayed late at the office. By the time I wrapped up, it was already dark, long past normal hours. There was no sign of Ethan. I checked my watch, frowned, shut down my computer, and rushed downstairs toward the mall. I'd booked my flight the night before. In 6 days, I'd be heading to France. I needed to pick up some essentials, but when I walked out of the basement-level supermarket, my arms full of shopping bags, most of the stores on the first floor had already closed. The mall was dimming for the night. I turned my head and saw Ethan and Lily. At first, I almost didn't notice. I only glanced over, thinking the two figures by the jewelry counter looked familiar. But then I recognized the cake box on the counter, the same distinctive packaging from that dessert shop where Ethan first confessed to me. The same packaging that had arrived at my office just this morning with the green tangerine jasmine cake. And now an identical box was sitting right there. I looked up. The jewelry store's name was also familiar. It was the same place Ethan had bought that jasmine diamond ring. So this was it. I checked the timestamp on the receipt and realized it all made sense now. That ring had brought them back here. The jewelry store was about to close. The lights were dimmed, with just one spotlight shining directly on Ethan and Lily. Under the overhead light, Ethan's features looked deeper, more defined, more affectionate. That boy who once grew up with me by the ocean breeze had now become a man. The white shirt was replaced by a tailored black suit. Lily was wearing a store associate's uniform, and she was personally pinning a sapphire brooch onto Ethan's lapel. Like a slow-motion scene from a movie, the two of them inched closer to each other. Lily looked up, their breaths mingling. The tension between them had crossed the line. It was Ethan who first lost control, grabbing Lily and kissing her hard on the lips. One by one, the lights in the mall went out, leaving only the one above them glowing, like the whole world had faded away, and only the two of them remained. They kissed, completely lost in each other. Snap. The sound cut through the silence like a crack of thunder. The plastic bag in my hand had torn, and everything inside spilled across the floor. Ethan jolted and spun around like he'd been shocked awake, and saw me standing there in the dark. Emily, I calmly pushed open the glass door and stepped inside. Hi, miss, I said, turning to Lily without even looking at Ethan. Can you give me a shopping bag? Her lips were glossy, her face burning red. You? Ethan and I truly love each other. I nodded. Sure, but I need a shopping bag. If you won't give me one, I can go report you to mall management for unprofessional conduct. You. Lily was so angry, tears began rolling down her cheeks. And all I could think was, shouldn't I be the one crying right now? Why was she crying? I hadn't even shed a tear. It was only then that Ethan seemed to fully snap back to reality. His hand reached for mine, fingers trembling slightly. He always did this. Whenever he made me angry, he'd act pitiful and gently tug at my fingertips, softly calling my name, just like now. I turned away, grabbed the cake off the counter, and slapped him across the face with it. The cream splattered across his face, smearing his sharp, handsome nose. It dripped down his black suit, staining the delicate sapphire brooch Lily had just pinned on him. Ethan stared at me, stunned, eyes wide. I looked him straight in the eye, struggling to steady my breathing, trying to keep my voice even. Ethan, this is why we're done. Lily screamed and ran out from behind the counter, frantically trying to wipe Ethan's face with tissues. How could you do that to Ethan? I stepped past her, walked behind the counter, and quietly began picking up the things that had fallen on the ground. I stuffed them into a new bag, 6 more days and I'd be in France. I'd never have to see any of these people again. Ethan shoved Lily aside and rushed toward me, grabbing my wrist. Emily, it's not what you think between me and her. It really isn't. I yanked my arm back, clutching my things, my voice shaking as I fought to stay composed. Don't touch me. You disgust me right now. He followed me all the way to the mall's entrance, looking utterly wrecked. His eyes shimmered with a broken, painful light, like he was truly hurting, truly regretting, truly in love with me. Emily, please, believe me, I only like you. I only love you. The summer night air was heavy, thick with the feeling of an approaching storm. I didn't want to say another word to him, but Lily suddenly stepped in front of me, blocking my path. She bit her lower lip, putting on an expression of tragic heroism. Miss Shen, Ethan and I are not as shameful as you think. That kiss, it was just something that happened in the heat of the moment. But you didn't have to treat him like that. You know, sometimes when you're pushed past the limit, all you can do is laugh. In the heat of the moment, I repeated. You call kissing a man with a girlfriend in a public place the heat of the moment? Wow, for a side piece, you're certainly bold. Lily's face flushed red, her breath coming fast. You've been arguing with him for so long and still didn't win him back. Ethan stepped forward. Emily, you can treat me however you want, but don't talk about Lily like that. Aren't you always the one preaching about supporting women? How can you say such awful things to another girl? Apologize to her. I looked at Ethan and, for the first time, he felt like a complete stranger to me. You want me to apologize to her? I asked. Ethan, are you the one who's lost your mind or am I? I turned around and walked away. Ethan chased after me, grabbing my wrist again and refusing to let go. Emily Shen, wait, don't walk away. Say what you have to say. But just then, Lily suddenly stomped her foot and ran off in the opposite direction. Huge tears rolled down Lily's face. Fine, I'll die. Would that finally make you too happy? Lily? Ethan couldn't take it anymore. He let go of me and chased after her in a panic. A thunderclap boomed across the sky, and then the summer downpour finally began. Big raindrops pelted my skin, but I felt no pain. Water slid down my cheeks, and I couldn't even tell whether it was rain or tears. When Ethan returned home, he was completely soaked. And when he saw me packing my suitcase, panic finally showed on his face. He came forward, eyes red, and held me tightly, refusing to let go. Emily, where are you going? I swear, nothing ever happened between me and Lily. That kiss, it was a mistake. I didn't mean for it to happen. His voice was shaking. She looks so much like you at 17. You both wore white dresses. You both loved Jasmine. Every time I saw her, I'd space out. I couldn't help but be a little kinder to her. But the truth is, I just wanted to treat you better. I know the one I love is you. Emily, every time you talk about leaving, do you know how much it hurts? I have a heart too, it's flesh and blood. Can we stop this now? Please. I love you. I looked at him. Honestly, he hadn't changed much in appearance over the years. On my 17th birthday, he took me to see fireworks out at sea. The way he looked at me back then with such deep affection, that image had burned itself into my heart. But now, looking at him again, he felt like a stranger. I closed my eyes. Ethan, don't. But hearing my words only made him hold me tighter, pulling me roughly into his arms. He started breathing fast, in short, shallow gasps, the signs of his mild heart condition flaring up, his pulse racing. He had to regulate his breathing. In the past, whenever this happened, no matter how angry or hurt I was, I'd always drop everything to care for him. But this time, I pushed him away. Emily, we promised we'd stay together forever. You can't just leave halfway through. You swore we'd grow old together. I slowly opened my eyes, dazed. I didn't understand how Ethan could say something like that after everything he'd done. Emily, listen to me, he pleaded. I went to that jewelry store to buy a ring. My heart skipped. Suddenly, Ethan let go of me. He dropped to one knee, pulled a ring box from the soaked pocket of his drenched suit, and opened it. Inside was a beautifully crafted jasmine diamond ring, its tiny diamonds forming a delicate bloom. Rain had made it glisten even more, so stunning it almost made my heart stop. He looked up at me. This was supposed to be your proposal ring. You can't sentence me for a moment of weakness. You've always been the one in my heart. His eyes were full of hope. Will you marry me? In that moment, his voice matched the one from the live photo in his social feed, the exact same voice that had asked Lily, "Will you marry me?" My mind buzzed loudly. Suddenly, my ears rang, and a sharp, shrill sound exploded in my head. I stared at the jasmine ring, once worn by Lily, and couldn't help but picture the image from his feed. Two hands clasped tightly beneath a sky of fireworks at the Japanese summer festival. I had seen that scene too. The fireworks had streaked across the night sky like shooting stars, bursting into dazzling light and reflecting on the shimmering ocean below like countless pearls falling into water. In that moment, it felt like the world had faded away, leaving only the fireworks and the sound of waves lapping against the boat. Back then, I had looked at Ethan beside me, and my heartbeat had softened, sinking with each explosion in the sky. It had felt so full of love. But never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that the man I loved would one day stand under fireworks with someone else, holding her hand the same way, and worse, would offer me the same ring he once gave her. I let out a quiet laugh. The dam finally broke. I lowered my head into my hand, propping my forehead up, and laughed uncontrollably. I laughed, and as I did, tears silently slid down the corners of my eyes. Emily, what's wrong? Don't scare me." Ethan tried to pull me into his arms, but I shoved him away. I stumbled back 2 steps and hit the corner of the table. A display stand of anime merchandise toppled off the edge and fell to the ground. It was from a popular franchise I'd loved for years, a collaboration I'd once adored. Ethan had given it to me after one of our fights over Lily, a peace offering. I had liked that series since way back, but Ethan always said it was childish, never interested in hearing me talk about it. So when he gave me that gift, I was genuinely happy. I'd even jumped up and kissed him on the cheek. But then I saw Lily's social media post and realized she liked that franchise too. She was the one who made Ethan stand in line for 3 hours just to get that merchandise. The trip to Japan? It wasn't a coincidence. That franchise's main theme park was there. It was her dream pilgrimage. The gift Ethan gave me was just whatever was left over after he picked for her. And I, like a fool, believed it was a token of his love. I even placed it proudly on my desk, thinking I'd see proof of his affection every day. I thought that after more than 20 years together, we were like family. Even if the romance faded, there should have been friendship or some kind of bond left. So why? Why was Ethan capable of stomping all over my heart like this? He held me tightly. "Emily, please don't be like this. I really went to that jewelry store to buy you that ring. The person I want to spend my life with has always been you. Lily was just a detour. She just happened to be the one holding the ring first. Emily, don't leave. Marry me." "Okay," I heard myself say softly. Ethan loosened his grip and stared at me like he couldn't believe it. "Emily, you're saying yes?" I kept my face expressionless and nodded. "I never planned to leave. I just wanted us to go back to the island and see the fireworks one more time. That's where I want you to propose. You know how much that place means to me." His face lit up like a boy getting the answer he'd dreamed of. He rushed to agree, as if afraid I'd change my mind. Yes, we'll go back tomorrow." I looked at him. "On one condition, you can't see Lily again." He didn't even hesitate. "I swear, Emily, it was all just a stupid mistake. I already made things clear with her. We won't see each other again." But I couldn't help remembering what I'd just seen posted on the anonymous confession wall of Ethan's alma mater. A photo of him and Lily kissing in the rain. The caption had joked that today's rain was heavier than the day Yiping begged her father for money. And still, there's a couple making out by the lake. Must be true love. So that was what Ethan called making things clear. And now he held me like I was some priceless treasure he thought he'd lost and miraculously found again. "My Emily," he whispered, like I was the simplest and most sacred thing in the world. Yes, so simple, too simple, and that's why I knew he couldn't do it, because Ethan had never been able to say no to Lily. It was as if we'd rewound to the honeymoon phase again. Ethan stuck to me like glue, refusing to leave my side. But I was already checking text alerts from the airline, counting down. 5 days left. Ethan announced our engagement to all our friends. He even posted a high-key photo on his social media, me wearing the jasmine diamond ring. His friends, still single, flooded the comments with dramatic wails. "Someone hug me. I'm crying. I told my parents I'd gotten a promotion and was transferring to the French office. 4 days left. Ethan cooked dinner himself and served it proudly. I passed all my work files to a close colleague and asked him to help wrap things up. 3 days. Ethan was thrilled to see I had reorganized all the gifts he'd ever given me. He hugged me so tightly that his hot tears soaked my shoulder. "Emily," he whispered, "we've been with each other since the day we were born, and we'll stay together until the very end." 2 days. I threw every gift Ethan had ever given me into the dumpster downstairs. The security guard, an old uncle who knew us, asked if he could take them. I smiled and said yes. Last day, Ethan helped me pack, chatting excitedly the entire time. "What should we bring back for your parents from the island?" "I remember your mom loves shrimp paste. Do you remember that little shop at the end of your street? The one where we used to buy it? You ate so much as a kid, you got sick, and I had to carry you to the hospital," he said, laughing. I nodded and gave a few casual responses, staring at the computer screen, sorting through files. When I unlocked my phone, Lily's Weibo post popped up. "Oh, so I'm just whipped cream now, something you can use to smooth things over. My boyfriend was 30 minutes late picking me up from class today, so annoying. But my roommate said he's too handsome to stay mad at." She's right, watching him act melts all my anger. Love is like yeast, I'm a fluffy loaf of bread. I've been craving my boyfriend so badly. He finally brought me bread from my favorite bakery, the one his sister loves. Of course he still loves me the most. Hope the perfect sister dies soon. No offense, she's sick again, boo-hoo. Also didn't manage to get the merch I wanted, but at least my boyfriend ditched work and his annoying sister to come bring me the merch anyway. I love him so much. "I'm still sick, but my boyfriend took me home," Lily wrote. I fell asleep in a pile of his clothes, surrounded by his scent. If you get it, you get it. It's like an omega nesting, audio and video all ready to go. He couldn't wait to show the whole world he finally won me. Lily was a minor relationship influencer. Some of her followers even asked in the comments what his annoying sister had done to deserve so much hostility. Lily tossed them all into her block list without a second thought. The truth was, on the day Lily got sick, I was sick too. That morning, I'd gotten up hoping Ethan would make me a bowl of wontons. He always did when I was sick, ever since we were kids. But that day, he brushed me off, said he was too busy, and rushed out the door without even pouring me a glass of water. Later, I dragged myself through a work trip, still unwell. And when I got home, the scent of jasmine perfume, not mine, hung in the air. I saved the final version of my files to my phone. Ethan came over and hugged me from behind, burying his nose in my hair. "You've been working so hard again. Why not just quit? I'll take care of you." I scheduled the documents to auto-send and didn't answer. There had been a knock at the door earlier. "Was that a delivery guy?" he asked. Seemed like an international package. I looked up. Ethan was immersed in his own happiness, but deep in his eyes, I saw a flicker of unease, fear, maybe even guilt he didn't dare name. I smiled to myself. Ethan had lied to me so many times. Why shouldn't I lie to him once? "Yes, just shipping some documents to the French office," I said. "I need to head to the company for a bit. Can you finish packing the suitcase in the living room?" After mailing the Express International package, I went to the office to sign a few final documents that required me to be there in person. That's when chaos erupted in the lobby downstairs. Willie had come to my office. "Emily Shen. What the hell was that post on your story supposed to mean?" she shouted, hair messy, her voice frantic. "You knew I wore that ring. You heard him propose to me. How could you still accept his proposal with that same ring?" I smiled politely. "It's exactly what it said. Ethan is proposing to me tonight during the fireworks over the sea. Sorry to disappoint you, Miss Lily." "You were just a catalyst in our relationship," I added. "So thanks for that. Ethan and I will be very happy." I waved casually, signaling the security guard to escort the increasingly unhinged woman out. Lily screamed as more of my coworkers gathered, drawn by the commotion. "You'll see, Emily Shen. He proposed to me with that ring. I'm the one he loves. I'm the one he's going to marry. I know that post was meant for me." She kept going. "Ethan explained everything to me. You're just the sales girl who helped size the ring, a thief who's trying to steal my proposal." I walked up calmly right in front of everyone and slapped her across the face. hard. If it doesn't belong to you, it never will. Watching Lily's twisted expression, I only smiled wider. The fireworks start at 8, I said sweetly. Be sure to wish us well, Miss Lily. But just as Ethan and I were about to board the boat, his phone rang. It was Lily. The boat operator was urging us to get on. I stayed silent. Ethan looked visibly torn. Emily. I know you don't like Lily, he began, hesitant, but she's my junior, and she's in trouble. She says she was cornered by some local thugs near campus, stuck in an alley. This could be serious, it could be dangerous. Please don't be petty right now. I'll be right back. Both our families had moved off the island long ago. We now lived about an hour's drive from the harbor. We both knew, if he left now, he wouldn't make it back in time for the fireworks. I said nothing. Ethan started getting anxious. Emily, you're a girl too. How can you just stand by while another girl is in danger? I looked at him. And just like that, we missed our chance to board the boat. The fireworks over the sea began. The surface of the ocean was painted a deep, vivid blue under the moonlight, shimmering gently. With a loud boom, a firework exploded in the sky, like countless stars suddenly falling and scattering their brilliance across the world. Go, I said suddenly. Ethan froze. What? I repeated. I said go. He stood there stunned for a beat, then almost bolted toward the car, scrambling to start it. I watched his silhouette illuminated briefly by the next burst of fireworks, and inevitably, my mind wandered back to when we were students. He used to run toward me like that too, but I never saw his back then. Only the face that came running toward me. Goodbye, I mouthed silently to the Ethan of 17, the one who once ran to me. In the car, Ethan seemed to sense something. He suddenly turned his head to glance back through the window. I could tell, just for a second, he hesitated. The car slowed a little, but then he mouthed something. I'll be right back. The accelerator was pressed. The car sped up and disappeared off the island. The fireworks kept going. Each one burst in the black sky with a deep echoing boom, blooming in the darkness. Then they sank into the midnight blue sea, fading away. After the final firework disappeared, I made my way to the airport. There were 2 hours left until my flight. Destination? Paris, France. As Ethan drove away from the island, a strange panic settled in his chest. Hard to name, harder to explain. The sound of the fireworks echoing behind him made it worse. When he turned and looked back through the rearview mirror, catching just a glimpse of Emily through the glass, it hit him at full force. He wanted to get out, to run back, to hold her in his arms, and slip that jasmine diamond ring onto the finger of the girl he'd loved since childhood. To be with her forever. But his phone rang again. It was Lily. She was crying. Ethan, where are you? Come help me, please. I'm scared. I need you. I can't do this without you. So he gritted his teeth and stepped harder on the gas, speeding toward her. Lily's still so young, he thought. Of course she'd be scared in a situation like that. Emily's strong now, he told himself. She doesn't need me to worry about her anymore. The truth was, the first time he met Lily, he had been shaken. The scent of jasmine had surrounded her, and for a split second he thought he was seeing 17-year-old Emily again. 19-year-old Lily reminded him more of that version of Emily than 27-year-old Emily ever could. You're here, Lily sobbed as she threw herself into his arms. But Ethan quickly realized nothing she'd said was true. There had been no danger, no alley, no thugs. At first, he was genuinely angry. But then Lily looked up at him with tear-streaked cheeks. Her white dress fluttered lightly in the damp evening breeze. It was jasmine season. The rain had just stopped and the post-storm jasmine scent was stronger, sweeter. He sighed, defeated, and opened the passenger door for her. She climbed into the car and he gently comforted her, patting her back softly. It's okay, I'm here, don't be scared. Her rain-soaked dress clung to her, and her silhouette showed faintly through the fabric. The air inside the car grew warmer, heavier. He didn't know who leaned in first, but soon, lips met. Their breath turned hot and shallow. Whatever fragments of clarity Ethan had left began to dissolve. Emily's going to be mad, he thought, somewhere in the haze. I promised her I wouldn't see Lily again. But when Lily's warm tears landed on the back of his hand, she whispered, But I love you, Ethan. I love you so much it hurts. And he couldn't hold back anymore. The car rocked gently in place. Inside, everything blurred. Intention, guilt, desire. Then, just as Ethan was losing himself in it all, he noticed a sudden flash of white light outside. He looked up. A crowd of students had gathered around the car, phones raised, whispering to each other and taking videos. Oh my God, it really is them. So the campus wall rumors were true. I knew it. He's from the business school. I've got screenshots from his social media too. Didn't she just post about going abroad with her boyfriend? You could even hear him proposing in the background of her live stream. Turns out she's the other woman. Wow. Isn't that Ethan's car? He and I trained under the same mentor. I've even met his girlfriend. She's stunning, so calm and capable. I swear, how does someone like him not treasure a woman like that? Ugh, men, just scum. It felt like something exploded inside Ethan's head. He couldn't even remember how he'd calmed down the shaken Lily, or how he'd gotten out of the car to question the students crowding around. What he remembered was what came after. He saw everything on his alma mater's anonymous confession page, every detail of his betrayal with Lily. Photos, audio, videos. The captions were clear, concise, powerful. It was unmistakably Emily's style, now 27, professional, sharp. His phone slipped from his hand and hit the ground with a loud clack. It felt like the blood in his entire body had frozen, turning to ice. In a frenzy, Ethan pulled Lily from the car, floored the accelerator, and raced back toward the island. The drive took an hour, but by the time he got there, the fireworks were long over. He couldn't reach me. His calls went unanswered. Emily? Emily, he muttered. No way, this can't be. He told himself we were childhood sweethearts. That I loved him more than anything. That I was just angry. That all he had to do was sincerely apologize, and I'd come back to him. Because I was Emily. His Emily. The girl who once gave up a dream job abroad just to stay by his side. A sudden sense of dread stabbed through him. He pulled out his phone, frantically trying to check my flight details. But his hands were shaking too badly. The phone slipped, bounced off a seaside rock, and slid down. Without hesitation, Ethan jumped after it, twisting his ankle on the landing, but not caring. Limping, he picked it up. And then he saw it. The flight information. Confirmed check-in. Emily Shen. Destination Paris, France. Departure in 1 hour. Summer rain came pouring down, thick and heavy. Ethan ignored the pain in his chest, the symptoms of his heart condition flaring. He ran red lights, speeding toward the airport, calling me non-stop the entire way. I never picked up. Until once, when he used the work phone number he'd recently registered for company business. The call went through. He shouted, panicked, voice cracking. Emily, where are you? He was just a few hundred meters from the airport. The roads were slick with rain. He didn't notice his tires hydroplaning until it was too late. The car spun out and slammed hard into a roadside tree. His chest flared with sharp pain. Another driver passed by, scolding him. What the hell, man? Are you trying to get yourself killed? Flying through here every night like you've got a death wish. But Ethan had no time. He threw open the door, ignored the throbbing pain in his leg, and ran toward the terminal, stumbling with every step. Still clutching the phone, his voice trembled as he begged into the receiver. Emily, please, where are you? Don't go. Don't leave me. Rain filled the streets, puddles turning into ponds. Drops beat against him like stones, but all he could hear was the automated voice in the background on the other end of the call. Final call for the flight to Paris, France. Passengers, please proceed immediately to gate 4. Click. The call was disconnected. Ethan stood there, stunned, soaking wet. The rain poured, relentless. The flight hadn't been delayed. It was as if even the heavens were urging Emily to go. When he finally returned home, he was struck by how empty everything felt. He remembered they'd packed for the trip back to the island. That's why there had been luggage. But now he realized Emily had packed way more than a short trip required. And in his excitement, he hadn't noticed. He ran from room to room, opening every door, checking every closet. All of Emily's things were gone. Even the gifts he had given her, every single one, had disappeared. Not a trace remained. It was as if she'd never lived there at all. Ethan collapsed into a chair, completely drained. A hollow emptiness spread through his chest, leaving him struggling to breathe. The tide of sorrow surged endlessly toward his heart, and all Ethan could do was stand there, powerless, letting it swallow him whole. Only then did he realize, back on the day he ran into me at the mall, I'd been carrying all those shopping bags filled with travel essentials. so I'd already made up my mind to leave. When I landed in Paris, I dove straight into the whirlwind of work handover. For the time being, I stayed in a temporary apartment that a colleague had arranged for me. Eventually, I found a beautiful home of my own. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, casting warm light on the intricate patterns of vintage furniture. Dust drifted lazily in the air, settling on the blooming jasmine flowers on the table. Colleagues came by with wine and champagne to celebrate my new place. Regarde, ma belle Emily. The best is always ahead of you. I raised my glass and smiled, sipped the champagne, let myself enjoy the warmth and ease of a Parisian summer. That's when Ethan called. I picked up, surprised to hear his voice, hoarse and filled with pain. Emily, please don't hang up, I'm begging you. I was startled. I had changed my number long ago and had specifically asked everyone not to share my contact with anyone unrelated. Emily, I really truly know I was wrong. Things with Lily weren't how you imagined. That post you wrote, what it said wasn't the full story. I didn't know he'd post that on social media. That day in Japan, he said since he was already helping me with the ring, he might as well help me rehearse the proposal. You know, he kind of resembled you. That's all I wanted, to practice what it'd be like proposing to someone like you. That's why that photo exists. You can't just give up on me like this. It's not fair. His voice cracked, restrained but raw with pain. I didn't say a word. So he kept talking. Didn't we promise each other back when we were kids that no matter what happened, we'd never leave one another? Finally, I let out a soft laugh. He panicked instantly. Emily, why are you laughing? I waved off my colleague Ava, who was looking at me with concern. I'm fine. I looked at my reflection in the glass. Even I didn't expect to see such coldness in my own eyes. I thought I'd be sad. But apparently, Ethan had already drained me of every last bit of love I had left. The truth was, Ethan was never that great. He just looked perfect inside the memory I created. It was my love that made him shine. Now that the glow was gone, I finally saw him for what he really was, ordinary and deeply selfish. I exhaled quietly. Ethan, I said, I wanted to hate you. But then I realized even hating you would be a waste of time. We've known each other for 20 years, dated for 5. I was just unlucky. Now I just feel sick. Get out of my life, fast. Work in Paris was going better than I'd expected. I moved through the glittering social circles of the fashion industry with ease. The liaison from LVMH was impressed by me. One day he laughed and said, "You should start your own brand. You're like a jasmine flower," he added. "People can't help but fall in love with you." I nodded and thanked him as we said goodbye. Under the streetlights, the streets of Paris were still buzzing. Lights from the boats on the Seine sparkled like stars scattered across the water. Somewhere in the distance, a violin played. I never expected to see Ethan there. He was holding a bouquet of jasmine, his frame much thinner than I remembered. After I exposed everything between him and Lily through that anonymous confession page and a viral social post, Lily couldn't take the pressure. She dropped out of school and moved in with Ethan. But it wasn't long before his father came storming to the door. He beat Ethan viciously, yelling the whole time, "How dare you treat my Lily like this? She's only 19. You're a grown man. What the hell is wrong with you?" After the beating, he tried to drag Lily back home. But Lily refused to leave. She clung to Ethan and sobbed, "We're really in love. I love him." A neighbor caught the whole scene on video and uploaded it online. The internet did what it does best, pieced together the whole story, even digging up Lily's old social media posts. Public opinion turned fast. The internet came down hard on both of them. Soon after, Ethan's job was affected too. His company placed him on suspension pending investigation, a euphemism for being pushed out. At an age when he should have been soaring, Ethan now looked weathered and worn, like a man broken by alcohol and regrets. His figure looked smaller inside his long black coat. His eyes had sunk deeper into his face. The once captivating eyes I used to know had long since lost their light. "I'm leaving," I said. Ethan rushed up and grabbed my wrist tightly, only to let go as if shocked by electricity. "Emily, don't be mad. I just wanted to see you." I stepped back 2 paces, watching him warily. "Well, now you've seen me. You can go." He opened his mouth. "Emily, I know you're angry, but I'm not giving up. I'll keep apologizing until I make it right. If you don't love me anymore, I'll win you over again. Let's start over, okay? There was a desperate hope in his eyes. I tightened my grip on my phone and frowned. Ethan, do you think I'm a fool? That one sentence shattered the last glimmer in his eyes. He clutched his chest, staggered a step back, nearly losing balance. But I didn't rush to him like I used to. I took another step away instead. Ethan, I'm 27 now, not 17. I don't have time for these teenage heartbreak dramatics. We're adults. You should understand what it means to take responsibility for your actions. I'm already disgusted. Don't make me hate you. He stopped dead in his tracks, not daring to come closer. He leaned against the nearby wall, his hands pressed so hard against it that his knuckles turned white, bones nearly visible through his skin. His head dipped low as he struggled to breathe. From the Seine, the sound of boats drifted through the night air, like the wind back on the island, familiar, distant. After a long pause, he finally lifted his head and stared at me. All right, Emily, if this is what you want, that ring, it was always yours. It never belonged to anyone else. He opened his palm to reveal the jasmine diamond ring, still elegant and brilliant. Expressionless, I took it from him. Then, right in front of his eyes, I raised my hand and tossed it into the Seine. It hit the water with a soft splash and vanished into the depths. Without looking at Ethan, whose face had gone deathly pale, I turned and walked away. I didn't look back, not even once. Later, when I returned to the States, I launched my own brand, Yes Manna. On the day the studio opened, many friends sent congratulations and flowers. One bouquet stood out, exceptionally expensive yet unsigned. While arranging the flowers, I found something hidden inside. That same jasmine ring. It looked weathered, as if it had braved summer storms, witnessed island fireworks, and tasted the waters of the Seine. Yet the diamonds still sparkled and the jasmines still bloomed. I stood holding that ring for a long time. In the end, I put it back into the bouquet and threw the whole thing, ring and all, into the trash. Ethan never stopped looking for me, just became more subtle each time. There was a period in Paris when I fell ill, my body still not used to the climate. One night, I had a fever of 104 Fahrenheit. I remember hearing a knock at the door. I grabbed a kitchen knife and cautiously opened it, only to find fever medication sitting quietly at the doorstep. It was the same brand I always used back home, the exact one that worked best for me. One day, I invited an old colleague to visit the studio. He grinned and patted my shoulder. Boss Shen is back, and you didn't forget about me, huh? Good thing I stayed up all night, helping you organize those files before you left. We stayed up late, talking about branding, design, and everything we'd learned. We were chatting about market trends, and somehow the conversation drifted to Ethan. My colleague sighed heavily. Who would have thought he'd cheat? You have no idea. After I saw that video of him tangled up with that side chick, I was so disgusted I couldn't eat for days. Emily, Karma's going to get him. I took a sip of the sparkling wine he brought and smiled faintly without saying a word. I didn't expect those words to become reality. The next time I heard about Ethan, it was that he was gravely ill. He had always had a mild heart condition. He wasn't even supposed to swim, let alone dive. But for some reason, after leaving his job, he moved back to the island and started diving regularly. At first, his parents were deeply worried, but he assured them it was supposed to help his condition. Maybe it did help for a while. But just before the grand summer fireworks show over the ocean, he dove deep and suddenly had a cardiac episode. The fireworks were too loud, drowning out his cries for help. By the time the diving coach realized something was wrong and got him to the hospital, he had already stopped breathing. After several rounds of emergency resuscitation, he was barely brought back. It was only then that his parents realized he had been drinking heavily and staying up late every night, deliberately wrecking his health. Even if the dive hadn't triggered the episode, his body was already too damaged. When Mom called, her voice was full of worry. I don't know if Ethan will ever wake up again. His dad's eyes are swollen from crying. And that boy, why on earth did he have to go diving on that particular day? Emily, that was your birthday, wasn't it? I came home from your celebration and heard about what happened with the Liu family. It scared me half to death. You have to come with me in a couple of days to the goddess temple to pray. This is too terrifying. I was so stunned, I didn't really register what she said after that. I just mumbled a few responses. Bookmark, go back. Then she hesitantly asked, "Are you going to visit him?" I was silent for a long time before slowly exhaling. "No," she sounded relieved. Good, good. Don't go see him. From now on we won't have any more ties with the Liu family." I nodded. On the other end of the call, Mom sighed heavily, her voice softening with emotion. "Sweetheart, I just want you to be happy." After I hung up, I sat in a daze for a long while. Everything had happened so suddenly. It wasn't until my work phone rang that I snapped out of it and returned to the tasks at hand. By the time I looked up again, night had fallen. I got up to pour myself another cup of coffee. My career was thriving. Yasmina had steadily gained market share, and the future looked bright. The LVMH contact who had supported me from the beginning even emailed to congratulate me. "I look forward to you, Smile, becoming the jasmine flower everyone loves." I replied modestly, "You flatter me." To which he teased, "You really have no ambition." Now I was so busy that I barely had time to sit down. Even when I was exhausted, I had to keep going. Coffee became my lifeline. But as I stood, my elbow knocked a greeting card off the desk. It was a postcard from my French colleagues congratulating me on the success of my studio. The front showed a beautiful view of the Seine, and on the back, written in flowing French script, it read, "Regarde-moi, le meilleur est toujours à venir." Look, Emily, the best is always yet to come. Bonus scene, Ethan's perspective. The last time I saw Emily was on a snowy day in Paris. The Christmas lights along the Champs-Élysées sparkled like stars. Storefronts were exquisitely decorated with dazzling holiday gifts and ornaments. It felt like the whole city was celebrating Christmas. The air smelled of roasted chestnuts and warm mulled wine. I waited in that winter Paris for 3 hours before finally seeing her come out of the office, chatting and laughing with her colleagues. Winter was no season for Jasmine to bloom. And yet, she was more radiant than ever. Poised, graceful, effortlessly stunning. There could be thousands of jasmine flowers in the world, but there was only one, Emily Shen. And I watched her greedily, like she was the last light in my collapsing world. She had grabbed a cup of hot cocoa from a street vendor and jogged to catch up with his coworkers, laughing and chatting his way toward the future. 17-year-old Emily had been like that too. Between classes, I used to stand by the classroom window, watching her bounce around, joking with friends. Maybe she never really changed. Emily had always been Emily. 17-year-old Emily was Emily. 27-year-old Emily was still Emily. It's a shame I didn't realize that the day I first met Lily. That day, Emily and I had a fight. She said I was too self-centered, too stubborn, no longer putting our relationship above everything else like I used to. She stormed out of the house, angry, and I, frustrated and confused, went to the jewelry store to pick up the jasmine diamond ring that had been meant for a proposal. I have to admit, the moment I laid eyes on Lily, I panicked. She was wearing the ring. The jasmine design brushed gently against her delicate fingertips, mingling with the soft jasmine scent on her body. In that moment, she reminded me so strongly of the Emily I had loved most, 17, innocent, vibrant. By the time I realized what I'd done, Lily and I had already grown too close. Some friends started to notice. One even warned me, "That girl doesn't look much like Emily. Don't dig yourself deeper. We all admire what you and Emily have. If she finds out, she'll never forgive you." But I brushed it off. What did they know? Had they ever known the 17-year-old Emily like I had? Only I knew how much Lily resembled her. In Japan, when Lily suddenly suggested rehearsing a proposal, I knew she had her own little agenda, but I couldn't bring myself to refuse. When I slid the ring onto her finger, fireworks lit up the sky. She wore a white dress, smiling at me, and before I knew it, I said the words, "Will you marry me?" I never imagined Emily would see that post, see that photo. Never imagined she'd leave so decisively, head to Paris without looking back, not even for a day. I went to her office, shamelessly asked her coworkers for news of her. One of them glared at me, tears in her eyes. "Ethan, what you did to Emily, karma's coming for you." I still didn't take it seriously. I thought, Emily and I, we were childhood sweethearts. She'd forgive me. We were meant to be. Until I saw her throw the ring into the Seine with her own hand. That's when it hit me. Emily really wasn't going to forgive me this time. I moved back to the island. This was where we'd grown up, where we had fallen in love, where we'd sat on the rocks watching the sea, held each other in the ocean wind. I kept thinking about that night with the fireworks over the ocean. Over and over, I wondered, if I had stayed, would Emily have stayed too? Given up Paris and stayed for me? But I never got an answer. On her birthday, I sent her a gift. Unsurprisingly, she returned it. She didn't want anything more to do with me. That day, my diving coach said the conditions weren't good. I shouldn't go. But something pulled at me. I felt like I had to dive, as if the quiet of the deep sea could calm the storm inside me. The fireworks started. Their faint booms reached me underwater. Suddenly, a sharp pain stabbed my heart. My breathing faltered. But then, I thought I heard someone calling my name. Ethan, Ethan. I looked up, dazed, and it was like I saw two overlapping worlds, one a deep, peaceful blue, the other a girl in a white dress swaying in wind and rain. It was Emily, on her 17th birthday, when she accidentally fell into the sea. Back then, I hadn't hesitated. I jumped in after her and pulled the girl I loved out of the water. Ethan, help me. I knew I was fading, but I couldn't stop myself from swimming toward her. She clung to me, fingernails digging deep into my skin, leaving red welts behind. Everything blurred and wavered. And then, suddenly, I smelled roasted chestnuts and the warmth of mulled wine. Snow was falling in Paris. I called out to Emily. She turned around, holding a cup of hot cocoa, smiling brightly. Ethan, what are you doing here? The image of the white-dressed Emily hugging me tightly began to overlap with the real Emily standing before me. Ethan, thank you, she whispered. I love you. I love you too, I said. You are the only Jasmine I've ever loved in this life. The end. Thank you for reading.